Victoria's splinters struggle to rebuild. Portioneur makes her move for Praetoria's secrets. Shapeshifters summoned from the plane of chaos feast on flesh and memories, while the mages of the Conclave Arcana scour the 7 territories. Few will stand against them, but it won't be enough. That's where you come in. You and your cards. Like all new archons that grant you dominion over bloodlines. Dwarves, elves, gnomes, orcs, and Lund. Craft midnight potions in the Artisan Quarter for a shot at new ultra-rare foils. Flex your collection in battle and earn bigger rewards. The Conclave Arcana awaits. Do you have what it takes?
Hey everyone, welcome to another Splinterlands Town Hall. It is Thursday? I forgot what day it was. July 17th, 2025. This is our evening town hall for those of you in the US. For those of you other places around the world, perhaps it's a morning town hall or an afternoon town hall. Anyway, great to talk to everyone again. We have Investigator, we got Dave McCoy, we got Nate. Blaze, unfortunately, I think is feeling a bit under the weather and is not able to join us this month. But I think Dave's gonna give us the marketing update from Blaze a little later on. We have a bunch of things kind of happening right now, and then a bunch of kind of longer term projects that we're starting to really sink our teeth into. Obviously, Conclave Arcana Conflicts just launched a couple days ago, so that's real exciting to see that first card airdropped after the first 30 days. We're going to talk about that a little more. We have a new game mode that is going to be geared toward new players that's expected to be out in the next week or two. The exact name of that is still TBD, but the idea is that new players will be able to get those foundation set cards from the first kind of tutorial campaign, and then have a game mode, a ranked play game mode, just with those cards for them to get their feet wet, learn the game before moving into modern. Um, we have some, auctions and raffles coming up for the pickle card and the voucher shop card. And then, later on, I'm going to talk about kind of the bigger projects that we're working on for later in the year. Obviously, I should mention, if anyone doesn't know, the Bitcoin price is over 120,000, or roughly around $120,000. ETH has started to run recently. So hopefully those will keep going, and then typically we kind of have seen a trickle down effect in the past. So hopefully a lot of that bull market momentum will come down into the smaller tokens and projects like Splinterlands in the not too distant future. So that's something we hopefully can look forward to. So I'm going to get started by turning it over to Investigator to give us the development update. How are things going there, Investi?
Well, it's been busy. So I guess to touch back on some of the things that have happened since the last town hall, we've had the Yaba's Pickle promo event. We have moved wagon crafting from being something that you buy from the company to something that is produced by land resources. The new Harvest All functionality for land was added by Cryptomancer, and the Conclave Arcana conflicts have started. Not to mention, there's also been redesigns of the card collection / market display, the battle results, as well as the battle lobby, formerly battle history. So encourage everyone to join our game Discord and leave any feedback on those items in the UX channel for Nate. As far as what's coming up, a lot of it you kind of already touched on. We should be adding a new game mode that is the foundation card based game mode for new players in the next week or so. Um, and a lot of previously announced things will be coming up over the next week to month. The pickle raffle, the new voucher card raffle, as well as options for both. And we continue to try to work on a couple other projects that have been mentioned in the past. I know we have gotten the Android app out. We've continued to we haven't had a chance to really go back and try to address our issues with Apple. They've rejected it after a couple attempts to get it submitted through them. So we're going to have to go back and take another look at that. And we've got some other things that we'd like to add into the game soon, which I'll let Dave talk about more if he wants to, since there's some ideas he has. But here to work on improving the game. I know that some of the things that came out were initially kind of rough, but we'll be fixing up a lot of the minor issues and little quality of life items that have come up with some of the screen reworks and different things that may have had some issues or been confusing in the first release. We already, I think, hot fixed a lot of the big complaints about the UI changes earlier this week. So that is, I think, most of what's going on with development that I can probably talk about without potentially spoiling things.
All right. Yeah. No. Thanks. I mean, it's just. I feel like a lot of times we only think about the big high level projects, and that's a lot of what the players see and is the most exciting things. But there's like such a big list of smaller things that go on every day, that even I don't know about a lot of them. Um, so yeah, the team's just really, really on top of all that stuff. So thank you guys for just taking care of all that. So we really don't have to worry about it. Um, so speaking of maybe spoiling things or showing us what's going on, Nate, what do you have in store for everybody today?
Yeah, I mean, today is well, we were talking about it before the town hall started. Like, what do we share? What do we do? We're kind of Matt was saying, well, we're definitely in the what would you call it, the biddle phase. We got our heads down. We're building. We're making stuff. So maybe next town hall will be a little bit more exciting. But let me at least give you guys an update on what's been going on. Let's start with raffles. There's numerous raffles right around the corner. Starting off with what's going on in what we're calling the exclusive tab in the market. You'll notice that it's going to start morphing and changing a little bit. Right now, we have Tasoshi as the card you can purchase with vouchers. Pretty soon you're gonna see that change evolve to show a little something different. When you click on the other box, the little visual container there, you'll have an opportunity to start spending those craftable tokens that you can make with land, so that you can go ahead and see if you could win one of these better foil types for the Tasoshi Drakamoto card, which is the promo card you could buy with vouchers right now. So that's pretty exciting. The same thing will be true for the infamous and widely celebrated pickle card. So we have Yaba's pickle here, and you'll notice that once we get to the next phase of the promotion, the big pickle event, you're going to see the opportunity to go ahead once again, use those craftable items to go ahead and put your name in the hat and see if you can win one of those more exclusive, special foil types of that card. So that's pretty exciting. Of course, um, the fortune draw excitement doesn't end there. As we've already mentioned, I think previous town hall, which again, hats off to Joey for representing creative. I think he did a great job. I think you guys will agree. He just he threw it all out there in a very organized and beautiful fashion, probably better than I could. For those of you who missed that town hall and a glimpse at maybe what basic format looks like, let me give you a little bit more updated version of that. Now, keep in mind that as I showed that, that's not the initial version that's being launched, but it's very close to it. The reason why I say it's not the actual version is because you'll notice that there are a little tidbits of future phases kind of hinted at in that screenshot. So although the fortune draws will not be quite ready at the time of launch, that is a feature phase we're looking to implement, and that pretty soon you're going to have an opportunity to go ahead and look at other foil types for foundation cards, which is pretty exciting. You won't just get the wooden frames. Dave McCoy was pretty adamant about the fact that he wanted to make sure that the players had the same chase, the same excitement that comes with getting normal cards. He wanted that for new players as well. And so now you're going to see how that plays out. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I think that as whether you're a veteran player or a brand new player, I think we're all can, the chase is real for all of us, bottom line. So there are going to be opportunities to see those same type of raffle mechanics for that as well. Now, when I look at this screen, this is a lobby screen. I want to say a few things before I move on to the next topic. While I'm on it, first of all, we're calling it basic format. I want to, the reasons I called it basic anyways, is because when it's a new player, we're not marketing, hey, this is the new players are going to basic format. No, we're marketing as, hey, you're unlocking ranked mode. That's actual mode of play, ranked mode. It just so happens when they land in ranked mode, once they achieve the 12 chapters in campaign mode, and now they've unlocked ranked mode, they land here. And just like you see a linear progression with our leagues from bronze to champion, you see a very straightforward, clear linear progression with the formats. Because as we've all played card games, we're all familiar with, hey, I probably know what modern is. I know what wild is. I know what survival. I could probably guess what survival is like if I've played any card games in the past with other companies or platforms. So we wanted to make it just as clear, just as simple, and just as straightforward that, hey, you're starting here. Basic is where you're going to start. If I'm a new player, I'm like, I get it. Basic. Yeah, I don't want all the extra stuff or the complexity. I just want something simple. So I'm going to gravitate towards it. Although it seems like, oh, basic sounds basic. As a new player, I want you to think about it with virgin eyes. Like, where is your safe place? Because wherever you feel safe is where you're going to be happy. So a good solid name I thought was basic, where you could start there and have that progression and lead to greater pastures. You don't want to be satisfied just staying there. Now, having said that, even though that's where my mind was at when we were thinking about names and what to call it, I have heard you. If you've sent a private message, or you had a comment, or you went to the Discord UX channel, or whatever, I have heard you, and I want to make sure that your voices are heard. For those of you who are like, no, basic just sounds dumb, then okay, I encourage you guys. It doesn't have to stay that name. Go to the UX channel in Discord, and I want to hear your thoughts. Joey, our narrative lead, said, well, maybe Genesis format. If you're a brand new player, give me your thoughts on that. If you show up in the lobby and you see the word Genesis, it does imply a starting point. Do you think that would be a good idea? Do you want to just call it foundation format? We could, except it's just a long word. We try to fit it, the mobile responsiveness of it, and it's just so long. And we'd have to change how the UI is for all the other formats so that they're equal in width and it doesn't look all wonky and weird, right? So if people say, no, we have to have that, then all right, we'll mess with the UI. We'll see if we can make the words a little smaller. Or if you guys are like, no, basic, that explains it. I get it. I think I see the bronze to champion linear progression. I like it. Then let us know that too. because we are debating it internally and outwardly. And let us know your thoughts. We want to involve the community in that regard. So I want to say that. The other thing I want to say is touching on the Discord UX channel. Again, we're looking at a lobby screen right now. Something in the last, not last update, but the update before, some of you guys have been vocal about, hey, where did the battle log go? Where did the match history go? For those of you who haven't been following the UX Discord channel, I just want to give my thoughts real quick. The sudden and jarring way in which it happened, I take full responsibility. I apologize publicly. I'm very sorry. We should have waited probably until the benefits were very tangible and real, so that you don't feel like anything was taken away from you, right? So in that regard, I will do my darndest internally to try to speed up the benefits of what that change should evolve to become. And that includes all kinds of cool things that we could do with match history now that it has its own dedicated page. That could be anywhere from sorting, filtering. It could be adding other formats and other game modes like challenge and practice mode histories. It could be changing the way in which you see the data presented in new and interesting ways. Now that match history has its own secondary navigation bar, now that it has the opportunity for drop downs and sorting and other ways to manage the data, I think that you guys are going to be really excited with what the future holds for match history. But I want to do so with community collaboration. Some of you have made strong points in the UX channel. I think B Jangles, Fat Jimmy are two who said, hey, let us be more involved. Then, okay. I encourage you, go to the UX channel. We're going to be adding polls there. Also, if you scroll up, there's a lot of feedback going on already. So you might have to scroll up to see Nate's last message. But I went ahead and kind of data dumped a few screenshots and conceptualizations from our UI designer, HTT, who went ahead and conceptualized, well, here's how we could better optimize the screen real estate for the lobby. Here's what the possibilities are. I want to get your guys' feedback on that. Here's the possibilities for what a dedicated match history screen could evolve to become. I want your thoughts on that. And then if the day ever comes to where it's like this isn't working, then Matt's always made it very clear, both publicly and internally, that like, hey, iterate. If the iterations don't work, just put it back to where it was. Like we could do that too. So basically, I'm just saying, hey, don't worry, everything's okay. If you want things changed, then you already know Lilyfire is like a true champ. I think everyone knows that. You go in the UX channel, it's like she's all over that feedback. When you put in, I feel this way, she's like, bam, she has her emojis ready. She's ready with solutions. She's ready. I'm going to bring it to the team. And she does. Internally, when we have these triage meetings where the tickets are proposed, we debate the pros and cons, we prioritize, and then we move on and we make sure those things are addressed. And I'm sure you guys have seen in the past year, we are not ignoring anybody. We're taking everything you say to heart. So I hope you guys know that. And if you're unsure about that or have your doubts, then go in the UX channel. And my commitment to you is to make sure that I bend over backwards to make sure you feel like your voice is heard. All right. I'm trying to think of what else we could. That's all I have to say about that. And then I asked Dave before this started whether we should share these concepts, and he said, yeah. Primarily for those of you who are land barons, you guys have already been leaked the information from Cryptomancer, who's the dev working on land, which is, it's cool to say stuff like that because he is literally an employee of the DAO. Every person who is in the game and has SPS and stakes it is a stakeholder. They're a partner in what happens with this game. That was Matt's vision. It continues to be Matt's vision. And it's just so exciting to say stuff like that. Like the DAO's dev has gone ahead and shared an update. And part of that update was the idea that there might be craftable land cards. And so even though we don't have much to share about that yet, because there's so much to be finalized, it might be fun. Dave, this was born from Dave's enthusiastic, like, hey, what else can we make that's craftable? What can we do now? Not like 2 years down the road. I don't want to wait for Land 2.0. So he had the creative team conceptualize like what would land cards look like. So this is what I'll share is what I gave him, and this is initially what spurred the conversation and ended up with more development, leading to what Cryptomancer was sharing in the Land Discord channel. So these right here are conceptualizations for what maybe a wheat harvester would look like, or someone who researches aura. And I'm going to let you guess on what those little icons and numbers mean, but don't take those too seriously. That's all just concept stuff. The numbers are just placeholders. The images are placeholders. But just know, like, yeah, this is an idea being tossed around, and now it's reached the next stage where we're more serious about it. Like, I feel like, unless something just goes seriously wrong, this is going to happen. And as we get closer to finalizing what that looks like, then we'll share that on other town halls in the future. But I thought that was exciting, and that was cool to see, and I want to share that with you guys. You know what? And I think I'll end it there. I think that's enough for the creative team to share. And then, of course, if I have questions about any of that, then when we get to the question and answer session, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, no, thank you, Nate. I mean, obviously the land card thing is a neat experiment that we're gonna be trying as a way to integrate different parts of the game in together. So we're looking forward to see how that works and what things we can do with it. And then, as Nate said earlier, which I just wanted to comment on, like we're in like a building and designing mode. So we definitely have like some big new exciting things that we're thinking about and planning. We're just not ready to share them yet. We want to make sure they get further designed out. We have cool visuals to show. So it kind of goes in like a cycle. For a little while we are in planning and building and design, and then we kind of start sharing everything with the community, and hopefully that's a lot closer to when it's actually released, because I think I think kind of sucks when we talk about new exciting things with the community and then you have to wait 6 months for them to happen. So we want to wait till things are closer to being done. So over the next few months, hopefully we'll get to the point where we're starting to release kind of some bigger, more exciting things in these town halls. And then bam, hopefully, 30 days later or something, they're out and they're ready for everybody. And I'll talk about high level some of those things a little later, but I first wanted to turn it over to the amazing Dave McCoy to talk about whatever he wants to talk about, plus a marketing update from Blaze, who couldn't be here today.
Thanks. Amazing, Dave McCoy. That's nice, Matt. Thank you. Well, first, let's talk about the land card, because I'm sure that's probably the thing Nate just shared that not everybody, but a good chunk of our population is going to care about. In those little ability boxes are going to be different abilities. So if you notice, one card, which is a common, has one ability. Another card that I believe is a legend has 3. We are working on everything, how to populate that, right? And the 150%, 175%, minus 50%, those are just placeholders. So don't get too worked up about, what that means, other than you can guess that. I'm sure, as Nate said, you can pretty much guess what those are. We have about 6 abilities that we're looking to add. We think they're going to be very useful tools to be able to enhance not only the excitement and fun for the people that are heavy land users, but also for bringing in new people that can experiment with land as well. We understand like some of the issues that people face, and these new cards should be able, to help anybody that, from somebody wanting to put thousands of dollars into the game and somebody wanting to put hundreds of dollars in. So that's something I'm really excited about. And as Matt said, this is somewhat of a proof of concept. We're not going to put out a 50 card set. We're looking at doing just a few cards, let's say, 4 cards, for instance. but the idea is to get it out there, let people see how it works. We want to see the reaction. We want to see the impact to the economy. And, at the end of the day, what we want to do is create more and more reasons to operate land. And these should be something that I believe will be highly sought after. In fact, in our discussions, we're trying to figure out how to make sure that they don't all happen, that they don't go out, on the first day. And what I think is really funny is when I watched Manser put out what he put out, and then I see the reaction from people. I will say that some of the comments that people make are pretty interesting. Like they said, you guys are going to make too many of these. Like they don't have any idea how many we're going to make, but they've jumped to the conclusion that we're going to make too many. So to give you guys an example of what we're thinking on doing, we're just thinking about coming out with again, proof of concept, coming out with a modest amount and something that, should make these cards, tough to get, but also, valuable. So that's the goal. The last thing I would say about the land card is that everything that gets said, even from Manser or anybody else for that matter on the team, is not final by any means right now. Like we still have a spec doc that's not fully filled out in terms of finally how everything's going to go. We have spec'd out the broader picture and how long is that going to take for him to do. So, things like that to code. But when it comes to, for instance, he mentioned you'll be able to buy it with Aura and something else. It may be Aura and something else. It may be resources and something else. That things like that are kind of interchangeable. So don't get too hung up on like, ooh, they said, Aura is going to be the thing. So go out and stock up on Aura. That may or may not be the case. So I'm just pointing out like they will be land resources in some way, shape, or form. Meaning the idea is a big chunk of the production of these cards is going to require or going to benefit people that produce the resource. And then we have a surprise for the rest of it. So I'll leave that there. Going over to Blaze. Blaze is not able to be here today. He got food poisoning, so he's unable to show up. He has been running tests out there, and we've been running some. Matt, I think that's you. If you could.
Oh,
that's
my
okay.
bad.
No problem.
Taking notes.
So we've been running tests. We've been running ads on Facebook, Twitter. We've been running tests as we told you with YGG, and we have some other things that we've been developing as well that we're not going to reveal right now. But I wanted to give an example of some of the things we've discovered in this process. So I'm going to go ahead and not share my screen, but hit my enter button. So to give you an example, the difference between the free marketing when we put out something and the paid marketing, if you look at the ad on the left, that's one of the ads that we did, and we spent, I forget exactly how much money, but I mean, we're not talking thousands, we're talking hundreds, and we got 89,000 views. And then the one on the right, if you look, we got 111,000. So just those two alone ads got us 200,000 views. Now, out of those views, the one on the left got 400 click-throughs. So we are doing things to understand, how many people are going to go to our website versus how many people saw the ad. I'm just letting you guys know that information is being looked at, evaluated. It's not only the platform that we use, it's also the message that we use. Like, are these messages the right messages, right? We're trying different types of messages. So the process has started. The other thing to go along with that is we didn't want to ramp up until we had the basic foundation or whatever we end up calling it mode out. because that's a landing spot for people coming in, and that should be starting, they said, the next week or two. So that's got my fingers crossed that that's what happens. And then I think you're going to see the frequency of the marketing improve. Right now, it's been pretty much a test. Once that happens, then we'll be able to see how many people are coming to the mode, how many people are playing the mode, how many people stay playing the mode, and then all of a sudden we're going to have much better data. So, at the end of the day, it's pretty exciting. I know that it's not something for the average player, which is kind of odd. We have a business that's built the opposite of the way most businesses are built. Most businesses have a lot of people at the bottom and very few people at the top, and it's like a pyramid. And ours the other way around. We have all the really rich, exciting, experienced, motivated people. We have those, right? We just need people in at the low end. So the mode itself might not be something for a sophisticated player to want to play. I mean, it's basic. It is basic. You're coming in with lesser abilities, not as good cards, but you're playing against people that have the exact same mode, right? So you're not playing against reward cards. You're not playing against other cards. You're playing against people just with that mode. So it's true competition. The fact that the players will be able to win cards, so they come in, they easy on board, they just sign up and start playing. They get to keep the cards, and as Nate alluded to, there's going to be multiple versions of the cards. So you're not only going to have the regular foil and gold foil, but you also have the black foil and both arcanes. And those are things that players can win. We're going to have weekly raffles that the players that want those cards for collectible purposes in particular will be able to obtain and keep those cards. So if you're not a collector, you probably don't care. But if you are a collector, then you might want to play that mode. Like I personally am going to play the mode because I want to win the cards. I mean, I want to get myself some black foil arcanes, for instance. So every week there's going to be 76 prizes. So, we'll see how much it attracts. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot more than people think. And really, you guys aren't the target audience. You guys are where we want the target audience to be, 6 months or a year after they've been here. So in any event, that's pretty exciting for me. And we're going to find out really, really soon. So I think one thing that I would like to say as well is in the Discord, when people show up, there's been a lot of people that have asked, maybe we should have a different landing spot for new players than Tavern, because sometimes Tavern, people show up and want to complain or, talk about how bad, things are. We are considering that, but at this point, that's not how it is. Like right now, when people show up, just if you guys see new people come in, can you try to steer the conversation in a, welcoming and friendly way for the new people? And if there's going to be brutal battles, can you try to just take them to other channels if possible? Just because it's to everybody's benefit to get new players. And if new players come into a fun, engaging, welcoming environment, it's a little better if they do than if they come into something where, people are ripping each other's, heads off. So just be aware of that. I think you're going to start seeing more and more people come in. Blaze has some numbers. He gave them to me, but I don't really want to give them to you guys because I don't want to misinterpret them, right? So there's squiggly lines. They do go up to the right, meaning we are improving, but it's not significant enough that I could talk about it intelligently. So that's kind of where we are.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Before we go to questions, I mentioned I'll talk about some of the bigger picture stuff we're doing. First of all, we're working on both extending the tutorial campaign. So, we have 12 chapters now. We're planning to continue to add more chapters to just teach players more and more things about the game. There's lots and lots of things we can teach. So we're working on new chapters for that. Then also the creative team has the go-ahead to start working on new campaigns, which will be for everybody. So the first PvE game mode, the plan is to include boss monsters, which have been, on the to-do list for 7 years now. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to plan some like fun new campaigns that everybody can participate in and figure out how that will work in a way that will hopefully be fun and interesting for players of all different, skill levels and collection levels in the game, which is not an easy task. Figuring out what the rewards will be and all that stuff. So that's one of the little bit longer term projects. My hope is that once we have a good template for new campaigns, we figure out a good model that works with the rewards and how that scales and all that stuff, that we'll be able to release new PvE campaigns on a more regular basis. And that could just be a thing that we do going forward. Every so often there'll be a new PvE campaign for people. But initially we gotta get the first one done, see what works, see what doesn't, probably, go some different directions. And then one of the things I've talked about a whole bunch, which I'm in the process of trying to design out right now, is a guild overhaul. I think that's like one of the biggest things for new player and existing player retention. Just, when you play a game by yourself, it's kind of easier to just be like, don't want to play anymore. But if you're with a group that kind of depends on you, it really helps keep people involved and engaged. And we haven't touched our guilds really in a very long time. So I'm looking at, redoing guild brawls, potentially completely, to a way that makes them more exciting, gets more people to participate more than just submitting your 5 or 6 teams once a week or however often it is. Definitely integrating new guild buildings that like everybody can contribute to in all sorts of different ways, not just with DEC. And the new buildings will, the idea is to integrate with all different parts of the game, including land. So um, uh, you'll want to be part of a guild. You'll get benefits in land and in ranked play and in all different modes. And you'll be able to, people who have land will be able to contribute to the guild, and people who play in ranked will be able to contribute to the guild in all different sorts of ways. So just want to tie kind of everything into the game together into a really interesting and engaging guild experience. In addition to that, we've also talked about skins and cosmetics for a long time. We talked about a while back a concept for what we were calling glamours for card skins. But I think a lot of what we were looking to do there, we kind of have done in a different way with the arcane variants and the black foils. So we still definitely want to do some type of skins thing for cards. But initially, I sort of wanted to switch focus onto cosmetics more so. And specifically, one of the things that Nate and the creative team have been pushing for a long time is the concept of like a player avatar. So right now, you have your card collection and you play, and you just have your little icon that you can pick between like 20 different images, but you don't really have a sense of you in the game. And in the lore of the world, you're a battle mage that's fighting against these other battle mages using the cards. But we really want to like allow you to create your battle mage character. And I think we have a really cool concept about how to do that and have it not just be a useless cosmetic thing, but actually like be able to have your character, design it, level it up, and get benefits. And then when you go to battle against someone, or you see somebody in the leaderboard or anywhere in guilds or wherever, you'll actually see their kind of custom avatar. You kind of see what level they are in the game. And you can maybe see some different icons or things for achievements or things that they've done. And I want to also tie that into things like the guild overhaul. Being part of a guild will allow you to upgrade your avatar and get different benefits, and vice versa. And see how we can also incorporate that into land and all these different things. So this is all the type of stuff that I think really goes a long way into making the experience like really fun and engaging for new players, and existing players. It's just like it's not just you come in and you have your account and you battle, but you get to really show off. Right now, there's not. I feel like we're missing that a lot. Even if you're like the top players in the game, your avatar looks just like everyone else's, right? So it's not really obvious that you're kind of like awesome. Like if you know, if you're playing an RPG game or something and you're a new player and you run into like a max level character, it's going to be obvious. They're going to have like a flaming sword and crazy armor and all this stuff. So we kind of want to put that into the game. So all of you guys who've been here for a while will be able to, you know, probably, you know, start out or very quickly get, you know, these higher level avatars that look really cool, and everyone will see that, you know, whenever they see your name or your little icon. We're kind of try to rethink that whole thing. So these are kind of the main like larger projects that we're taking on right now. And then, you know, hopefully over the next few months, we'll be able to really start showing this. You know, Nate will be able to show designs and all this stuff, and we'll tell you how it's going to work, and kind of the neat ideas that we have. I think, especially with the avatars, I think it's kind of one of the most interesting concepts we've had in a while that we're going to try to put out there. So I'm just going to leave it there. But I'm looking forward to sharing that with everyone when we get further along. So that's kind of the high level, you know, what we're working on designing in the background, while all the things we talked about earlier are going on in the foreground right now. So, you know, stay tuned for all that. Anything else you guys think we missed? Feel free to jump in.
Probably talk a little bit more in depth about basic mode or foundation mode, whatever we're going to end up calling it. I don't know if we really cover that in depth. So it's going to be a new mode. It's going to have a separate energy system from ranked, so you can play it with a separate energy bar. You will earn foundation cards from playing it, which will be the only place you can earn foundation cards, and those will be the only cards playable in that mode. So those are kind of the high level points. We are going to introduce foundation packs as part of the rewards. There'll also be a leaderboard, which will be more foundation cards and packs. I think those are the high points. Dave, anything I'm forgetting on the new mode that we should tell people about?
Yeah, initially what you just said, and then following up a few weeks later, we're going to be we're doing this in phases. So phase 1 is to get it out, let people start playing it. And phase 2 is going to be actually introducing the raffle function. So people will be able to earn raffle tickets. And like I said, there'll be 76 cards a week given out for 2 years from this mode. So those raffle tickets, I think, are going to be pretty sought after. So that's coming in a few weeks.
Yeah,
and go ahead. No,
we're going to reintroduce the concept of a daily quest with that mode too, which is that we're hoping to get back into ranked at some point. But I don't know if that's what you were going to talk about next.
No, that's good. It's also something that, you know, somebody coming into the game and they want to get going, and they, you know, one of the reasons why we're doing it this way is because it's also, number one, it's they can come in and win cards, right? And they can like sell the cards, trade the cards, build their deck, whatever. But they'll also be able to tree up into both forms of ranked, whether if they want to play most likely modern, but they could also play wild. And these cards will be usable in that mode, and all cards are capped at the silver level, you know, stat, you know, grouping. So, but you know, a person that's serious about the game, we come in, they want to build a good, essentially starter deck. They can make their own starter deck, essentially.
Yeah. Someone also mentioned land, which I apologize for not having talked about. I mean, we did talk about things like land cards, and you know, the work recently, aside from like quality of life things like Harvest All, which is big. The goal was to spend a bit of time integrating land, now that we had the new resources, into other areas of the game. So obviously we've been doing that with the wagons and the aura and midnight potions and the raffle tickets and the auction marks. We're gonna be doing the land cards, which you know, is, like we said earlier, kind of an experiment to see, like, you know, kind of new types of things we can do with cards in the game. But then I think we're gonna, once that stuff is kind of set, we're gonna focus back on the Land 2.0 roadmap and start to take piece by piece, integrating that. Starting to add more resources, leveling up buildings, storage, all that type of stuff as we get closer and closer to the end goal there. So that's the current status of Land. What do you think? Should we jump to questions?
Yeah, I want to go ahead and address the Chris J question when you open it up. So I'll start with that one if we're ready for that.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure I saw that, but yeah, let's open up. Ron's ahead of us. Q&A session is now open. Please post your questions in the various chat channels. We'll try to get all of them. Please preface them with question in all caps and bold so we see it very easily. And just a reminder, if you don't get your question answered now, or you're listening to this on the replay, you can post your questions in the Town Hall channel, Discord at any time, and a team member will try to answer them as soon as we can. So Dave, did you have something you wanted to answer?
Yeah. I'm not going to read his question. A, it's long, and B, there's a lot of misinformation in there. But having said that, he's asking about the change we just made, that we just put out, about the way the conflict wagons are handled. And I thought I made it clear in the announcement, but evidently he didn't read it well. So we initially wanted to make it one card, one wagon. That was the goal. So if there's 3,000 cards, minted, then there's going to be 3,000 wagons used, because those cards are like something they got, and there's a wagon cost to that. During the developer, implementation of that, a question came up, like, that's how this process works. So like, well, what do we do in this situation? And the situation was, well, what happens if somebody's like gets lucky and they have two wagons and they end up winning 4 cards? Like, what do we do? Right? Should we just only give them 2 cards? Should we give them a negative? Like, there was questions about that, right? And so the answer was, well, or the question then became, well, how likely is this going to happen, right? And the consensus in our group was, hey, it's probably not going to happen often. It's probably going to happen with some smaller guys, right? Because most you picture most players are going to, have a full set of cards, and they're going to stake them in the wagons, and the odds of it happening, like if you had 20 wagons, the odds of getting, 25 cards is, you just have to be super lucky, right? So we were like, okay, we'll let them keep them. Well, it turned out when we looked at how the implementation happened, like we did a run and we saw how many cards were guaranteed versus how many wagons people had, and we saw that our assumption that it was just going to be a few small people was not true. Right. It just turned out that, there's going to be a lot of people that essentially min-maxed it, and we're not buying wagons and purposely trying to, get as much as they can for the wagons they did versus, like doing it the way we thought they were going to do it. Nobody did anything wrong or bad, but, at the end of the day, when we saw that, the intention was always, if you win a card, you're gonna have to buy a wagon. Like, that's just the process. And Chris, you can call that a tax if you want. You can say that's a $5 tax for every air duct card, and that does go to Land, right? It is utility of Land. This isn't anything that the team, not money's coming into the team. This is just a mechanic that we put in because we believe that it was the right thing to do. That's it. So the answer is you ask the question, is it going to change? Well, all we can do is explain what our intentions are, right? If something else comes up that maybe we didn't think of, then we might change it again. So, but the intention is that if you win a card, you're going to have a wagon. We made it so that if you don't want to go buy, let's say you have, 2 wagons and you think you're going to get 2 cards, but you might get lucky and get 5. Then what will happen is, let's say you did get 5. Then what will happen at the end of the conflict, it will come up and say, hey, you got a chance to get 5 cards, but you need 3 more wagons. Do you want those 3 extra 3 cards or not? Essentially. So if you want the 3 cards, go buy 3 wagon kits. If you don't want the 3 cards, click here and, not take the 3 cards. So that's it. It's just a simple thing. So,
and it's starting the next conflict, not this one.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. We're not changing anything for conflict number 1. Number 1, it takes a lot of code that, right? So I didn't want to put the pressure on the dev team to like, go get this fixed immediately, right? And number 2, as he said, we did tell you on conflict number 1, that you were going to be able to keep the extras. So that will still be the case. On conflict number 1, you will still get the extras. So if you have 20 wagons and you win 50 cards, you get 30 cards with no extra wagons needed. But starting conflict number 2, if you win 50 cards and only have 20 wagons, then you got to decide whether you want the extra 30 or whether you want to essentially, say you don't want them. So that's it. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, I'll also just say I wrote a whole post on this a couple years back, but like things are going to change. So there's only one thing you can take from all this that like I'm saying for sure is that stuff is going to change. So we do our best to put things out and try to think things through as best as we can. It's impossible. You're never going to do it. And everyone here who's listening, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have ever done that, and I, would have thought of these things." You wouldn't have. If you put out any type of features in a game like this, you would miss about 25 things. And that's just the way it is. So we do the best we can. We put things out. We see how they go. We take feedback, and we are going to change them. We're not going to leave something that doesn't work well or causes problems just because that's the way it was. I think I've been very clear about that multiple times. If you don't like that, maybe Splinterlands isn't the game for you. But this is a whole new type of thing that we're doing. So we're gonna try things. We're gonna see how they go. We're gonna take feedback, and we're gonna make changes. And then we're gonna keep taking feedback, and we're gonna keep making changes. That's just the way things are, have and will continue to go around here. So hopefully it shouldn't surprise anybody. Then I'll keep going here on the questions. And hopefully the answers for the rest of them will be significantly shorter than that one. Question from Dehoda. Can we wish Jeff Opens Cards a happy 40th birthday today? Absolutely. Happy birthday. Good to see, more people in their 40s in the Splinterlands crew. So happy birthday officially from the Splinterlands team. Another question. How do you all feel about the base LP? Yeah, I mean, this is something I've talked about and have wanted to happen for a really long time. I'm really glad the DAO is doing it because as someone that lives in the US, it's just, going through Coinbase is by far the easiest way to get into and out of crypto. And having SPS token be on base will make it like much easier. I mean, ideally, we'd love people to be able to just put in their credit card information and buy SPS. Maybe one day as regulations, kind of get toned down over time. But for now, having it on base is probably going to be the easiest method, especially for people in the US and probably other places in the world that don't have as easy access to Binance and Binance Chain. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's great. I mean, I remember, I still poke my head in Aerodrome Finance website, or I mess around with Base. It's just it's a new toy. It's another chain, but I see how popular it is, how people are engaging with it, and it's like, yeah, I mean, why not? Let's get some of those guys over here.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier when we have that ability to pull the money in. One of the issues that people have is getting money into the game, and so having a bridge like that is huge.
Yep. Yeah, and obviously Base is doing a ton. They just had a huge update yesterday, the Coinbase wallet app and all that stuff. So yeah, we want to be a part of that. I mean, that's I think we want to be a part of any big ecosystem in the space that we can be, and that's one of the biggest right now.
Yeah, I would like to say one thing that brings up. A lot of times we talk about the team members and how much they do. One of the guys that does a lot that I don't think really gets the respect that he should is Clay. Clay really does a lot. He's on top of it. He cares about he runs it like it's his own business, right? Like he literally is, how can we make, how can we not waste money? How can we, put out proposals that work? And I mean, he does everything. I mean, he comes in and he tests cards for us. He tries to help us match up our accounting, on certain things. I mean, Clay's just awesome. So I just want to make that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when there was first a proposal to hire Clay, a lot of people were like, "What do we need a manager for? What is he even going to do?" And I think that's really not even a question anymore. There's like a ridiculous amount of stuff for Clay to do. He does a great job, and I think we'd be hard pressed to find a better person for that position. So yeah, Clay's awesome. It's good to point that out.
Like demanding to have a pickle card.
Well,
yeah, which by the way, he spent about 3 hours trying to figure out how to get it done because they have to have the multi-sigs done. So finally I found out he was spending 3 hours. I'm like, I can get it done for you, and you guys can do it whenever you find the 6 guys to do it. So the Dow is now a proud owner of 2,000 pickles, one of which is black foil and quite a few gold foil in there too. So, Clay definitely follows through on what he's planning. So
the Dow is an owner of 2,000 pickles. That's not a
2,000
sentence you
pickles.
hear every day.
Yeah.
Only in Splinterlands. All right, Intrepid Surfer's asking, can we expect a basic spell or item card by the end of this year? It could be a consumable type card. I'm going to say probably not. I mean, it's not just like, oh, throw out a promo card. I mean, we have to, update the entire game to include item and spell cards. So I just don't see that by the end of this year. I hope we are a lot closer to getting to that point on land by then. But
Yeah,
that's what I see.
I would agree with you, Matt, and I think that the thing that people should realize is we just put in a lot of tools to be able to do stuff like that was needed, right? Like just the ability to craft the auction marks or the raffle tickets, enabled us to be able to put this land card together in a much more efficient manner. And then once that's done, that's going to help us be able to do other things. So, there's a lot of things happening with land that you might not see be like basic spell or item card that's coming out in the white paper in 3.0, but there is a lot of stuff that are building blocks that are going to help that happen.
Yeah. Next question is for you, Dave. How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
It was 5. I finally got the call in at 2:30 my time, and then it took about a half hour to get to sleep, and then got up bright and early 8 a.m. today. So I'm a little tired.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you interacting with the community and taking questions through all hours of the evening. Our Faded Glory is asking, does the app run ads for the basic format? Adding no more ads to spellbook purchase could be a good addition to the spellbook benefits. No, there's no plan to run ads. I mean, I don't see this as an ad-driven game model. I don't want to add ads. I think that really ruins the whole experience. I also think with our current player size, it would be an insignificant amount of money, so it wouldn't be worth it at all. So yeah, there's no plan to add ads, and I think there's plenty of benefits to the spell book, and there could even be other new ones that we're planning that don't include ads. Question from Keegs over on YouTube. Can Nate say "Here we go" in the Mario voice? Is this referencing something that I don't know, or is this out of the blue?
I have no idea. I mean, the answer is I can. I mean, I'm capable of it. I'm physically capable of doing that. Yes.
Okay.
Whether I will, I mean, I don't even know, what does he sound? I mean, I don't know. Here we go. I don't know.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was good. Excellent. Nate.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. All right, where we go. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Fat Jimmy, aka Text Wall. I didn't notice that change to his name. The new foundation mode is absolutely awesome. Thank you for doing this. Can be a huge step toward the new player engagement. Would you guys consider coming up with a name that doesn't make the mode itself sound so dull and boring? Basic, you might say. The name itself is marketing. Let's nail it. Yeah, that's internally what it's being referred to as right now. I, I think a lot of people internally also agree that it should be something different. So we'll see. It is not set in stone as basic mode.
And Jimmy, if you came in late, Nate already said if you guys go to the UX channel and give suggestions, he's happy to look at those suggestions. Maybe run a poll. We do want to get moving on it relatively quick. So if you're passionate about a specific name, get it in there in the UX channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, initially the plan was foundation mode because it's the foundation set that you can use. The only reason, I guess, to do something different was that the word is long and can be difficult to put in on mobile, which I understand. So I would suggest maybe novice if we're not doing foundation. I don't want it to sound too cool because it's not supposed to be the cool mode. I mean, maybe if we come up with a really cool name, we call modern that or something. But it should be a name that indicates that it is, just a stepping stone for new players before they get into the full version. So we don't want it to sound like that's the coolest mode in the game.
Yeah. No, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And then I think besides the reasons you already stated, we weren't sure if originally Foundations was going to be an evergreen set, and now we're not so sure. It might be cycling out. The name may change. We can't name a format after some set that is no longer, like, I don't know. So we're not sure what the future holds. All I know is that the name's long. We want something that a new player comes in and immediately says, I don't want to stay here. I want to keep going. It's a starting point. It communicates that it's a starting point. So yeah, anything you guys come up with, put it in that UX Discord channel, and definitely every suggestion is going to be read and considered. And then who knows? Maybe we can get that swapped out to something better than what we have. I'm definitely open to it.
Cool. Sentinel Paul TRX is asking, how's the team's morale these days? I'll let you guys speak for yourselves. From my perspective, the Conclave Arcana sale went better than I had expected. I tend to keep my expectations low. It's not like amazing and now we're set for life. So we still got to push really hard. We still got to do more things, sell more things, and make progress. But it definitely bought me and like the executive team looking at things from a high level of running the business, a good amount of breathing room. So yeah, it's and like from my perspective, also I've talked about this a lot. Dave has come in and taken a lot of business management stuff off my plate. Also, just a lot of the overhang stuff from back before I took over the company. There was like a whole big list of kind of major issues I had to work through. Those are pretty much all taken care of and resolved at this point. So I'm mostly back to focusing on designing cool features like guild overhauls and player avatars and all this stuff. So that makes me a lot more excited and happy, and having fun with this versus being stressed all the time. But how do you guys feel?
No, I'm excited. Uh Matt, as he's already pointed out, has suggested, hey, let's evolve PvE story mode type adventures with campaign mode. I'm like, oh, and then he's like, hey, let's do something with the custom avatars, but even better than what you guys were suggesting. I'm like, oh, like every time I turn around, there's like the future looks pretty exciting. Not to mention the fact that I think Dave, were you the one that mentioned it just a little bit ago? As far as the marketing goes, it's like you talk about the term get your ducks in a row. So we redesigned the homepage. We have a campaign mode. We're about to have the basic format, or whatever we end up calling it if you don't like that name. And then we have a whole foundation set. Like, so many ducks, it's like the stars are aligning. Like, I don't know what's going to happen next. All I know is at no point in the company's entire history have we been better positioned to do something amazing. And so, yeah, I would say that I'm pretty excited for sure.
Gary, you want to speak?
So maybe this is me projecting, but I feel like the developers are tired. It's been a grind, but everybody's professionals, so we're still getting this stuff out the door. It's been a constant stream of updates for the past 3 months now. We're supposed to be on a 2-week cycle, but the last time we didn't do an update was way earlier this year. And we are making good progress. So the things that we have on the board as projects that are prioritized, inspect, and ready to go, we're starting to get down to the bottom of that list. With apologies to Tails, because I know that there's a project we were supposed to be working on with you that we're behind on. But I think that people are still excited about the game, looking forward to seeing new things. I know Dave said that when he came on board, he was really going to put his foot on the gas, and we're the people, us, the creative team, are the people that are building this stuff. So, devs with 3 or 4 projects that they're trying to get through at the same time can be a lot, but hopefully we're starting to get through that, and we'll start to get a little bit ahead before we get the next series of projects lined up and passed over to them.
And I would say, how am I doing? Number one, I appreciate what the devs and creatives do, which is a lot of work. And I understand it's more work than, like you said, I put my foot on the gas a little bit. They are getting a lot more done. Also, there's some learning phases. So, for instance, we put out something and then we have 3 different changes to it that are big changes, and then like each time they have to restart. So there's been some of that I've created some extra work that they've handled well, which I'm very appreciative. And having said that, I mean, I'm super excited about not only what we've been able to do in the last 4 months, but also what we have ahead. I know what our plans are, and I know we don't talk, like Blaze the other day said, hey, we should probably frame like the reason to own SPS. Like that should be something we should do. And I was like, yes, I agree. And it's in my head, but it's something that we have all these other things to do that I think that the framing of the SPS is like a 4th thing to do, right? Like these other 3 things are more important, but that's still a big deal. And so I thought about, like, do I even say anything about that? And I will say it this way: for the people that don't think that they should really want to have SPS, because I heard somebody the other day made a comment and they said, well, SPS will always go up when we do a set, and then each year, and then it will just go down right after that. And I would just say, I don't subscribe to that theory. Meaning, if we create value, one of these days you're going to see the flywheel work, and it's going to work in a way that you're going to wish that you participated in the system or bought SPS when it was not so obvious. At some point, it's going to be much more obvious to you. And then you can just remember that, I said, like you should have paid more attention. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm not going to sit here and say when or anything like that, but I'm super excited about the future because I think we're putting in place the things that matter. and we always had the building blocks to do really well. So I think we're doing well, honestly.
Yeah, regarding the SPS thing, before we get to the next question, I also want to know one of the things that's kind of cool and the purpose of how this all set up is even if like we don't have to try to get people to buy SPS. I mean, obviously that helps, and all of you guys know about it and everything. But as far as like new players coming in, even if none of them ever know or care about the SPS token, the whole system is set up where like whatever money they do put into the game, the value goes to the SPS token, which is very different than most other projects out there, which are all about getting everyone to actually go and buy the token. So our focus really in the past has been a lot of like, oh, how can we get people to go to buy this token? But like the focus has shifted up on purpose, saying how can we make the best product that we can make so people just want to put money into this game. They want to buy packs, they want to buy cards, they want to do all this stuff. And then it's set up in a way where that value goes to the SPS token naturally through DEC and the burning mechanism and all that stuff. So that's the main focus, is build a really awesome product that people want to put money into. And at some point, I mean, it's been difficult. It's been a long slog, because over the years we still just have people selling, right? So and it's not just selling SPS; it's also selling DEC token. So that's why, like you mentioned, it goes up when we have a set sale because, people need a bunch of DEC, and then SPS gets burned. And then it goes down after that. It's just there's so much overhang from the 2021-2022 period. Eventually that's gonna be exhausted. Um, and then as long as we have a new additional demand coming in from players to buy stuff in the game, that's when we expect to see price appreciation. So I don't know how long that's going to be, but really our focus is just on making sure we try to get as many new players as possible, and we try to get them to have as much fun and stick around as long as possible, so they start putting money into the game. So we're just going to build that. And at some point, if we're successful, that will overtake the selling, whether it dies down or not, and then things start to improve. So that's how we look at it. So I don't focus on the SPS price, or how can we get people just to buy the SPS token? Because also if you get people to buy the SPS token, a lot of times they're just looking for an ROI and for selling it. Right. So I'd rather focus on people putting money into the game that causes the SPS price to go up naturally, versus creating like an artificial kind of pump and dump like we saw in 2021 and 2022. So that's how I look at it. And I try to have the team look at it too, is just focus on building the best product that people want to put money into. And it all should work itself out if we're successful at doing that. All right, I want to jump back into the questions. I don't know how many we have outstanding. Iron Core on YouTube is asking, when will guilds get a quality of life update? Guilds are planned to get a complete overhaul and update at some point by the end of this year. We don't have dates yet because we haven't finished the designs yet, but that's one of our big major projects. So over the next 5-6 months, we should see a major guild overhaul. Intrepid Surfer's asking, will the new Foundation/Genesis mode be available to play for native Spanish speakers? I mean, it'll be available to play for speakers of any language. If you're asking specifically about translations, we haven't, and I don't think plan to do any translations for things going forward. I just don't think we have the time and resources for that as compared to other things.
Yeah, and one thing that question brings up, on the Foundation mode, everybody can play, whether they're, no matter what language they are, including our players. So like some people are like, can I play the mode with an alt? And Matt, I think you answered this on the last call, but the answer is yes, you can. If you want to play the mode, it's got its own separate energy. You can play it in the account you have now, or if you want to have a separate account and play it, no problem.
Yeah. So it's not just for new players, I think is what Dave's trying to say. Like all you guys can play in Foundation mode. Maybe it'll be a fun, cool mode
Yep.
for everybody. So yeah, and it won't use your energy from Modern or Wild. Sorry, I'm just laughing at various animated GIFs and things while I'm scrolling down for more questions. Another question from Lapis Wulio, I'm pronouncing that right, on YouTube. Why do you think the SPS rental market died, and should we make the minimum DEC price per SPS lower? I just don't think there's that much demand for SPS renting. So again, I think it just comes down to we need to try to get more players in here that want to put more money into the game. But right now, we don't have that many people interested in renting SPS as compared to the amount of people interested in renting it out. We could potentially lower the minimum price. I haven't looked at that, but that's why we don't have enough people.
Part of it, I think, was the introduction of the Wild Pass, which really shut down a lot of low investment bot accounts that made up the majority of the rental market. So that's a big part of why that dried up.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too. Yeah, the focus is less on the bots and that type of stuff, and more on trying to get more new real players in the game. So hopefully, if we're successful at that, we'll see more demand for SPS renting. Paul TRX is asking, any update on an in-game trading system where a TCG, after all, I would not have it be exclusive for cards either, assets for assets. Yeah, I've never seen that as like the highest priority item, but it is definitely on the list of things we've discussed at looking at doing an in-game. I forget what we called it, but yes, an in-game trading system. We've talked about also an in-game auctioning system for cards on the market. So it's the type of thing I would like to do. I would like to see it in the game. It's really just a question of priorities and how long it takes. So not the top of the list as far as I think bang for the buck, but would love to get to it if we can.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about that kind of question, like there's a list of I would say at least 30 things that we could do that are like, geez, this would be cool to do. But we only have 5 or 6 developers and a creative department that can only make the UI for all of that stuff. So, we can't do 30 things at one time, right? We have to like pick and choose which is most important to deal with. But that's definitely something that would be great to do. And I will also say that we have been tucking in a lot of things in addition to that. So like whether you liked what Nate did, with the rank play, or not with the change of the screen, but that functionality is now put in there, and it's an opportunity in the future to do even more. So there are things that happen that wasn't a major project. Like that wasn't on the board like avatars are or land card, for instance. But it's certainly something that was added to the game that gives us the ability to do even more down the road.
Yeah. I don't see any more questions, at least in Discord. So we'll give just a few more minutes, and then we're going to cut off the questions. So anyone who wants to ask a question, please put it in whatever chat you're using. Preface it with question in all caps. That's how we see it.
Matt, there was one question way up above. I forgot to answer it when it was asked, and it was about the runway. Do you want to comment on that? You want me to comment on that?
You can. If
Okay.
you want. I don't like talking about runway because people understand it differently. And there
Okay.
was when Aggie used to talk about it, there was a lot of misconceptions and things.
Okay. So, all right. So I'll try to answer it this way. We made it. We talked about our expense rate is roughly, $3 million a year, give or take, couple of 300, 400,000, it could swing either way, depending on, what comes up. And the set sale that we've done, is we've done about that much in sales, but half of it goes to the DAO. So, we're on we're ahead of our plan, as Matt said, in terms of what we expect, but we're in no means like, okay, we're done for the year. Like we've made our sales. So we have to continue to sell packs and raise money, so that we can operate the business. So in terms of a runway, I don't think that's really a concern. I mean, but obviously if everything stopped tomorrow, then it would be more of an issue. But we're certainly going to still want to raise money through more sales. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, runway is typically also for like a pre-product company, right, where they're not making revenue. It's like we have, you raise money from investors or whatever, and you have 2 years uh, to spend that money before you need to start getting your own revenue to run the business. So, um, if we just like look at cash in the bank, we don't have a ton of runway. Um, I mean, plenty to last for a while, but we also have sales, right? We have a product, we have revenues coming in, so we should be fine to keep operating based on our current expenses and currently, the way sales and revenue have been going. But if things drop off and get worse, we're gonna need to make cuts. If things go well, then we'll be able to expand the team. But right now, my biggest goal over the few years since I've come in as CEO was to get us to a point where we're break even at least, and not losing money anymore. And we've gotten ourselves to about that point. So that was like step one done, and now we work on turning it around and starting to grow again.
Yeah, and one thing to make sure clarify too. Typically, the cycle that we do is one main set and either promo or mini set. So that's likely to happen as well. Like in other words, when we count on our plan, we're thinking about not just the main set, we're also thinking about something else. So I just want to make sure that was clear too.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we got a few more questions in here. Sudion is asking, is there a way in the future for us to reskin older cards to the Conclave Arcana and Rebellion template? I wouldn't want to just go and change the older cards. I think alpha cards looking like alpha cards is a good thing. We have talked about and would like to at some point add skins for cards, not just new ones, but potentially older cards so they could look different. But I personally like that the older cards look older, and are easily identifiable as older cards. Similar to I have, you guys probably maybe can see a little bit, but those are my beta Magic the Gathering cards collection over my head here in the shot. Like they look old. They look like the first set, just like our alpha beta cards kind of do. So that's my thinking on it. Question from Wind KC. Any plans to expand the team given limited manpower? Do we have the money to do that after the pack sales? How's the runway looking? Yeah, we just talked about the runway. No plans to expand the team right now. Like I said, we're at a point where we're roughly at a break-even level, which is, again, a big weight off my shoulders that we're not losing money and running out as we were in previous years. I would love to be able to expand, but we need to really see an increase in players and in revenues to do that. And I want to be careful. Back in the day, we expanded way too quickly. So, we're going to be careful. But I don't see that on the near term horizon unless something, really unexpected happens. Okay, Articush is asking, which part of the game out of all the layers from battle modes to lands is the hardest to balance? I would say that depends on who you ask. If whatever part people are working on is probably the part they're going to say is hardest to balance. I think one of the cool things is like balancing trading card games is really difficult generally, but the way Splinterlands works with the random rule sets and mana costs makes it actually a lot easier. And I think we can do a lot of things that you can't do in other games that don't have that, because we can kind of make cards that are like, sort of very OP, but it's like they're only OP in certain situations, and that's how the game works. So I think we've gotten pretty good, I think, at balancing the cards themselves. I mean, I don't think there's been like, we've had some cards that have had changes here and there and different things, but like generally it's not anything like too crazy from the card perspective. So I guess I would say probably the game economy, which again, that's primarily what I work on. So I would say that, if you ask Cryptomancer, it might be land. Although that's an economy piece of it. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would say I think the team's done really good with card stat balancing. So I look at other areas as being much harder to balance, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts.
I think that yes, I agree with that, and I would also say that we also appreciate the help from the community as well on the card stats. Like we have some really cool testers that really work with the team and give some great feedback that have helped us, make those cards pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let me see. I see like 4 or 5 more questions. Let's go ahead, Ron, if you don't mind, and cut off the questions. I think everyone's had enough time to get their questions in at this point, and I gave everyone kind of a last-minute warning 5 or so minutes ago. And then again, just a reminder, you can post your questions in the Town Hall channel and Discord at any time, and we'll get to them, as soon as we can, in between town halls. Question from Bejangles. Can we please get a frequent drop of new focused rule sets and mana caps to highlight and feature things like our airdrop cards, drive the meta through these mechanics to drive sales? That's one thing I've talked about many times. I was like, I would like to have rule sets, new ones, and switch them up just on a regular basis. Like that just be a thing every month that we do, and then we keep getting bogged down with other stuff that we're working on. But thanks for the reminder. Well, I would like to throw that back on the list and see if we can, even if we don't create new rule sets, if we don't have the ability to do that, just change up the frequencies of them, just to keep that stuff fresh as much as possible. So I agree with that suggestion, Jangles. Dave, let's put that on a list somewhere and try to do that. It's pretty easy, I think, for as long as we don't create crazy rule sets. Maybe Call Me Tim or someone can try to add one in, a month or every other month if we can make that happen.
Yep. Okay.
We did have a series of Conclave Arcana rule sets that we did not release with the set. I think we were going to look at slowly putting those out. I don't know where we are with those. That's a Call Me Tim question, but we did have a bunch that we QA tested at one point.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Maybe we have some that we could start getting in. And I think it made sense that we didn't want to put them in right away because there was already a bunch of new stuff with an entire new set coming out. But now that it's been a couple months, I think it's the time to start doing that, keep things fresh. Question from Free. Will the 20x multiplier start descending on soulbound cards as a new set comes in? That's a good question. I don't know. We haven't looked at that yet.
Well, what we did last time was when the set reward set goes out, we would drop it to a 10x and then slowly ramp back up to a 20x, and then it's not unbindable anymore after, I forget what it was, 5 or 10 months, something like that.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the last set.
All right, cool. Well, so
we'll be working on that over the next 3 or 4 months anyway. So
yep,
we'll have more information soon.
Question from Paul TRX. What aspect of the game do each of you enjoy the most? I'll let you guys go first so I can think a bit more on that.
Pack opening, probably.
That is fun.
That's a fun aspect of the game.
Yeah, when Conclave Arcana came out, that was a real fun, first few days there. Nate, what do you think?
Sorry, on mute. What's the question?
What aspect of the game do you enjoy the most?
I would say, crap. I mean, the ecosystem, the game. we started off with such a simple auto battler, and now look at what we got. The ecosystem is so freaking huge. As I was talking about in the YouTube chat, um, I'm involved in all of it. I would say though that probably modern. I would say modern ranked. In fact, a little bit earlier today, when I'm usually working on UX or UI or artwork or all the stuff, right? I it calls to me. I'm tempted to like take a break for like just a minute, and that's the beauty of freaking our game is that it takes like a few minutes. Like I can take a breather, play a quick 5 minute match in modern, and then go back and to what I was doing. And of course, I'll admit if I lose the match, I'm tempted to like, oh, and I click battle again, which by the way, I think is cool. That was Tyler, HTT, our UI designer's idea. I think to add the battle again button right there in the results. So it's so easy now to just click another button and start up that other match. And then when I win, I'm like, okay, now I can go back to work. So I guess I would say that. I think that's cool.
I'll answer it. Collectability is the aspect I like the best, and I'll give a little, I think, a funny story. Buttercup Mauler Black Foil Arcane was on the market for $300, and I noticed it, and that was kind of the price I was looking to pay. Plus, me and Blaze had talked about Buttercup Mauler being a really cool card, so I ended up buying it. And so I go to Blaze and I'm like, hey, I got a Buttercup Mauler Black Foil Arcane for $300. He's like, damn, I wanted that card, right? And then he basically went and found somebody who had one and went and bought theirs. I think he ended up paying like $275 or $300. I forget the exact number. But he's like, we're like part of the Buttercup Mauler, Black Foil Arcane Club, right? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, Blaze. So because there's only two of them, so I bought one, he got the other, and we're like part of the club. And then when Matt was talking about the avatars, we were talking about the avatar program. I go, wouldn't it really be cool if we had our own gang sign? So the Buttercup Maulers could be like a gang, and we have our own little gang sign, for the fact that we're collectibles and all. So anyway, collectibles is my answer, and I just think it's really cool. Like I still own a lot of the everything from the Furious Chickens, to the old Alpha cards. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like that's the coolest aspect of the game.
So to me, I mean, at this point, I have to say land is kind of my favorite aspect. I don't know. I especially like now that we have the new resources and you can do the things, craft the new items with it. I've been a lot more active and invested in my land and trying to organize it and get all my cards to the right place, and just also thinking about the new stuff that's coming up. Um, Kind of a new and exciting thing for me, but also with like not as much time to battle. Um, as maybe other people have. So that's kind of one of the ideas of land is it's a more passive game. When I have some time, I can just, set things up or claim my rewards and stuff. So I don't know. That's the part I've been most into lately. Although I do agree with Investi as pack openings. That was a super super fun time doing that. But I haven't opened packs in a while since then. I'm definitely gonna towards the end when I see what of the arcane cards are left in that pool. Gonna jump on those. Um, Question from Win KC. How is the survival mode redesign looking? I'm a bit worried for it to shut down, which brings older cards value further down. I personally love the older cards. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we've necessarily redesigned it, but we've worked on fixing specific issues that we saw. I mean, we really still need to, work on our bots, the liquidity bots in there, and getting them to be, better, especially at the higher leagues. So we'll see. We have a couple more months before we'll stop funding it. It'll be up to the DAO. I don't know. I think clearly it didn't work out as well as I had hoped it would. But the concept is still cool, and if the decision is to not continue funding it, we can look at, putting different types of rewards in there instead of SPS. We can look at taking the concept and doing it in a different way or a different place. Uh, so that'll be always, something we'll look at if there's other things we can try or do to make that still happen. And regardless, even if survival mode doesn't happen, I mean, one of the main things for the older cards is land. So hopefully, as we continue progressing and get closer to land 2.0, there will be additional incentive and more opportunities to put older cards on land and have them have utility there. Um, there can potentially be opportunities with the guild overhaul to allow older cards, with an overhaul of brawls, to make that more, you know, incentive for using older cards. So that's something that's always on the radar generally of like, how do we, give utility to all the assets? And if survival mode doesn't work out, then we'll, do other things. All right, last question from Canada 804. What can the DAO do for you? More specifically, we're investors. How can we help? That's a great question. you know, when most of the questions are, why didn't you do this or can we do that or whatever? Like how can we help is an awesome question. So I appreciate that. And it's really important also because that's how everyone here, anyone who owns SPS tokens, that's how you need to think. I mean, it's very different than every other game or project that I've been a part of. Yeah, you are investors in the token, to be clear, not in the company. And you should try to think like it. So it's not always just, oh, XYZ costs money and I don't want to spend money, so it's bad. But think from a business owner perspective. Well, the money that it costs goes toward the token that you hold, uh, indirectly, but it all flows that way. If you don't understand how that works, that's a good question that we can address, outside of this call. And we've talked about a lot in the past, but yeah, you think of it from that perspective. I mean, you're a business owner. You're trying to build this product, and you want more people to come and put more money into it. I mean, if nobody, if everything's kind of given out for free, um, token values are not going to do well. Card values are not going to do well. So I'd say the team, our focus, like I just talked about earlier, is on building the best product. That's all we're focusing on. We want to build the best game we can. And if we do that, we hope that we'll be able to bring in a lot more players, and those players will want to spend money in the game. Um, the flip side is all for the DAO. So what can you guys do to help the SPS token? You guys can help with marketing. You guys can help with things like the base liquidity pool, right? Any type of partnerships or anything you want to do around the SPS token. I mean, that's all DAO stuff. Anything that's not specifically building the game product is kind of in the purview of the DAO and all of you guys. So if guys have any opportunities, any other communities that you think would be interested in the token, any opportunities to make it easier to buy the token or stake it or get value for it or whatever it is, reach out to Clay. That's how you can help make it happen. And then, obviously promoting and marketing the game. Word of mouth is probably the best marketing that we can get. So post on X, post on whatever other things people post on these days, YouTube, make streams, videos. That's what I would say you can do as SPS investors. And I'll also mention that, in case anyone doesn't know, the DAO is the one that funds the company. So we've switched from a model like we used to, just the company would sell stuff and that's how we would get revenue. The company does not sell stuff anymore. The DAO sells everything. So Conclave Arcana sold by the DAO. Any new thing sold by the DAO. The company contracts with the DAO, both upfront payments and revenue shares. So when we talk about runway and revenue and all these things, like that all has to come through the DAO. Everything is based on a DAO proposal. So obviously helping to support proposals to help fund the company is helpful, but obviously only if you agree with them and you think they're good uses of the DAO's money. So yeah, just want to make that clear. I think a lot of people forget that even internally in the company, that the DAO, the players, you guys, the token holders, you guys are the ones that fund our company, and all our salaries and all the money that we spend. So one of my biggest goals since taking over is making sure we are extremely good stewards of that money from the DAO. making sure we don't waste it. And I'm going to keep doing that as we go forward. And I have Dave's help now, which is extremely helpful to make sure he's found a number of things I either forgot about or didn't look into, that were ways to save money or things that we could cut. So very grateful to him for that, and you guys should be as well, because again, it's all the DAO's funds at the end of the day. All right, so that's it for the Q&A section. Again, I will mention that feel free to post your questions in the town hall channel. Maybe wait till the chatter dies down after the town hall event. One of the team members will get to them as soon as we can. And then we'll have another town hall in a month. Although while we're on here talking, I don't think I'm going to be here on the day that it's scheduled. So it's currently scheduled for Thursday, the 21st. So I will get with the team internally and we'll probably move that to a new day. We'll let everybody know. We'll update the event calendar. But at some point around that time, mid to late August, we will be back with another town hall. Hopefully we'll be a little further along with some of the other projects, and we'll be able to show you, some more of the designs and the eye candy. And it should be after the first conflict is done. So we can talk about the first conflict card and how many people got. And hopefully there'll be a bunch of excitement around that. I think maybe there'll be some raffles or auctions that are live by that time. So, get your raffle tickets, get your conflict wagons set up, and we'll talk to you in a month. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.